Hi, I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style.
And I'm Jill Chivers from Shop Your Wardrobe. And today's video we're going to talk about the aging process and getting older and growing into your skin and your colours and your body as you get older and all the changes that can happen and how you can adjust to those changes so you're still feeling great and looking great and wearing clothes that flatter you and enjoying the process of getting dressed and engaging with fashion and style in whatever way you like. So we thought we'd cover a few things off with this, lifestyle and body shapes, and then colour. So we thought we'd probably start a little bit with how our bodies change and what that means for our lifestyle, but maybe we might just start with, attitudes towards getting older. What's your attitude towards getting older, Imogen?
I'd rather be getting older than not be getting older.
Yes, the alternative is terrible.
I don't like the alternative. So I'm learning to embrace that rather than reject getting older, and I think that's something. And I also think there's an element of becoming more free. We often care less about other people's opinion as we get older. Right. It becomes something, and I think my aim is to age disgracefully rather than aging gracefully. Yeah. And my grandmother was a woman who was, known as a dragon lady. She was a teacher, and she was always very forceful woman. And she just went like, I'll do what I like. And I think that's one of the freeing things of age. We kind of maybe lose the pretty. We lose some of those things of youth. So you go, well, I haven't got that. What have I got now? Right. And so maybe I have more confidence. I'm more capable. I'm more confident. I'm more secure in myself, and I care less about what people think. And I want to go, I'm going to wear this thing and I love it and I don't care. And for me, there's an element there, I think, that's some of the fun of aging.
And considering that the downside of aging seems to get so much press, finding the positives to aging and claiming those and having them be the larger part of what you experience, I think is really important. Otherwise, it's just a descent into misery every day, isn't it?
I have certainly talked to women who say things like, well, I'm never buying anything, or I don't care what I wear because nobody looks at me, or I'm going to be dead in 20 years, so there's no point. And I go, that's just really sad. And 20 years is a long time, so, And it's that. And I sometimes think, to me, I think that's a sad attitude to aging. It's like, I want to embrace life until it's over.
Yeah. And my view is that in a youth-obsessed world, well, actually our world is beauty-obsessed. I think that's its primary obsession is beauty, and then youth is so closely associated with that. They become intertwined where they almost mean the same thing. And embracing our beauty as we age is not celebrated. We see very few examples of older women or old women. We can say that.
They're almost seen as freaks of nature.
Yeah, and when you think of archetypes of older women, they're often given pejorative terms like the old crone or the witch and those kinds of things. And some of those archetypes didn't. Yeah, well, crone was not a negative term in its sort of purest definition. It actually means a woman who is in full possession of her power and is wise and is a person that you would seek out for all that she has. Now, unfortunately, she's often depicted with a series of warts on her face with hair sprouting out of them that need a good clip. But it doesn't have to have all those negative physical associations, because a lot of older women are so appealing. You are attracted to them, even though they no longer embody youth. And to me, to arrest that process, I'm 55, but I want to regress back to looking 35. That's exactly what it is. I think it does something to our psychology and our emotional development to refuse to move into those stages of our lives.
Well, we see there's something wrong with it, rather than just going, this is where I am now, and let's just embrace it and keep moving forward. I think moving forward is better than moving backwards.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And that's literally what turning back the clock is often the term, isn't it?
And so one of the issues often is lifestyle changes. So particularly with, age may come, down, like not working as much. So sometimes people will just start working part-time, sometimes they will retire and not work at all. And so we might have gone from needing a wardrobe that works for a corporate or an office environment to going, I just live in a casual world.
Yeah.
And then it's working out, and this can be quite tricky for many women going, well, how do I dress now?
Yeah.
So, you know.
And trying to blend those two. I know when I left big corporate and started running my own business, I was in my late 20s at the time, but the same principles apply. I tried to blend those two things. I'll keep the jackets and I'll mix them out. And actually it didn't work. No. It was a transition period where one part of my wardrobe just had to go, and I had to develop a new part of my wardrobe. And that may not apply to every single thing you have if you've had a corporate kind of workwear, but I think it applies more often than what we would like it to apply.
And it can take a while for us to also mentally find out, how do I, you know, because if you say are used to working that sort of corporate wear or the more structured clothes, and you see casual is very unstructured, it can feel too sloppy. Maybe too unkempt in a way. So it's like, and this is one of the things, my entire wardrobe, it's in many ways is almost workwear. I've got a pair of shorts and stuff, and I do wear some very casual clothes every now and again. But I would say it's all in the smart casual. And I would say your wardrobe is also pretty much all in the smart casual.
Yes.
But it's, you know, I'll wear a straight skirt, but it's made of a knit fabric rather than being a stiff or structured woven. I will wear. And I might have a pattern in it, because that also takes away, it doesn't look like the office suit skirt anymore. It may still have the same shape, but it doesn't have that same kind of level of stiffness. I might look at it, you know, I'll wear jackets, but they'll be often more stretchy or have a quirky detail, or they'll be coloured.
In a colour. You've got some beautiful coloured jackets.
And so that gives me that variety and interest, and it gives me that feeling of being more structured, or that more appropriate, which is more professional, but without that I'm wearing a suit thing.
And I find the same thing when I still work in the corporate world as a consultant and facilitator, and I find when I put on the robes of that world, it brings me back there immediately. And of course the same is true in the opposite direction. So as we get older and we are not working perhaps in the same way or in the same environments, having your wardrobe reflect that, I think, is really important, and is part of embracing it, rather than, you know, I'm going to continue to wear that same stuff as a way of sort of hanging on to what was, rather than I'm in this new place.
I think too, what can happen is you go, I've invested all this money in it and I just can't get rid of it.
That's right. This was an expensive suit, man. I just can't give that away. And so I carried around 3 full suits, you know, the skirt, the pant, the jacket. I carried them around for 10 years, literally 10 years. I only got rid of them last year.
And then you go, by the time they're probably well dated anyway.
I know, which is really sad. It is. Someone could have been getting good use. But they were exactly that.
It's hard to let go.
Yes.
So it's also appreciating that what will work and what won't work anymore. And of course too, often with age, body shape changes, particularly with menopause, weight distribution changes.
Isn't that a load of fun?
So, you know, we might have a thickening of the waist is very common as we become more, you know, we lose the estrogen dominance. Estrogen keeps weight on your hips and thighs and bottom, versus when we lose that estrogen, it moves up into the upper body, which is what men are more typically have, which is why men put their weight on it there. So we lose that estrogen dominance. So therefore, this is why it's very common to see a thickening of the waist and losing the waist. And then you have to really learn how to redress your body, because it's not the body you've been dressing. For the past,
all those waistline items can suddenly start to feel too firm or just uncomfortable,
and they just don't look as good as they did. But it's also too, is then you have to grasp a whole load of new rules or new guidelines about what suits you. And it's a bit like anything. And I look at, you know, my mother always has said to me, change is as good as a holiday. And it is one of those things that we can get very stuck in. I don't want to change. I don't like change. Change is difficult. Change is hard. And I was kind of, maybe because she said it so many times, is I've quite embraced change. I like a bit of change. I get bored without a bit of change. But I also don't see it as always a negative thing. And I think it is then reframing the, okay, well, I've got a new body. I get to wear completely different clothes than I've been wearing. Or maybe some things that I've looked at and thought they were nice, which never used to suit me, now they will suit me. And it's the same with the colours. That
maybe we should do that in the next video.
The colours change too.
So
do. Like bodies change, colours change, and it's learning to let's embrace.
And I like that, because with the stuff about your body changing, I do find myself having that, this is a real pain, you know. And that's a really excellent attitude. You may never be wildly enthusiastic and leaping up and down and saying, oh yeah, I couldn't wait for this. Finally it's happened, hallelujah. But you could certainly have well, look, it's here. I can't make it not happen.
Yes.
You know, unless I want to have ribs removed or internal organs removed so that I keep that same silhouette. Here we are. We've arrived. And that sense of, let's at least adjust and make the most of it. And your attitude, for those of us who are a bit slower to embrace change, may slowly move up the enthusiasm spectrum so that you're actually enjoying it. And not all of us can sort of leap straight to that space, but we can move in that direction. And I find that a comfort when I do, you know, faced with something that I either wasn't expecting or, you know, haven't had a sense of positive anticipation towards it. I can get there in my own way, and provided with enough support and reasons, I can get there. And body shape is one of those, I think. And it can, you know, when you start to stack them up from a wardrobe perspective, it can mean pretty much a wholesale change of your wardrobe, can't it?
It can. Particularly because, look, it can and it can't. Like, if you were one of the non-waisted shapes, like an H shape, you know, to start with, you know, it's not going to change that much.
Right.
But if you're a waisted shape, an X or an A or a V, or, you know, not a V, an X, an A or an 8, you will find that you know, it's very easy that your body shape may change. Not everybody's does, but your body shape, and you'll lose your waist, so all those rules will be different.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends where you start to where you end up.
Yeah.
And you've got your genetics, and of course you've got your proportions and all the other aspects as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of women too find that wearing things that are too tight become much more uncomfortable with age. I think it's something I noticed, that we get pickier about the comfort levels on things.
Yes.
And so that's another aspect, that it might just be, you know, I can still wear it, but it doesn't feel comfortable like it used to.
I put up with it when I was in the working world. I don't know, because I had to, because it you know.
I was used to it.
Yeah, exactly. But now I don't have to, and so I'm not going to.
So they're just some thoughts to think about, and we're going to make another video about how colours can change, because I think this is a whole...
It's a big topic, actually.
It's a big topic that I think many of you will find really useful.